Welcome to this workshop. It's a Revit workshop. I see there's a few online, 16 or so. We only have 2 here. So maybe I'll speak to Jason later. I'll do it purely online for the other workshops. But yeah, again, so today is just a basic introduction to BIM, building information modeling, and using Revit, which is a BIM software. So we're going to introduce BIM, why use BIM generally, and Revit specifically for our projects. And then we'll get into a workshop about modeling in Revit. Okay. So I like to start with these definitions just because they're useful. So building information modeling is a process supported by various tools, technologies, and contracts involving the generation and management of digital representations of physical and functional characteristics of places. So essentially, with building information modeling, we, the key word there is information. Yeah. Basically, you have everything in a central place, enables collaboration, and you have geometries, which represents your 3D model, but there's a lot of data attached to that model, right? And then that becomes the modeling part of it. So information integrated to geometries becomes BIM. Yeah. Revit specifically is a building information software. So there's others. You'll be familiar with ArchiCAD and MicroStation. They're also BIM softwares. And the other part highlighted there is the software allows users to design a building, well, not necessarily design, but and structure that's its component in 3D, annotate the model with 2D draft elements. So you build a model and then you extract all the information you need from it, right? Your plans, sections, all your architectural drawings from one single articulated model with embedded data within it. So Revit is free for students. You can go on the Revit website, the Autodesk website. Of course, as part of the Autodesk suite, you also get 3ds Max, Maya, Revit, etc. Fusion 360, and these all are, packages you should test out at some point to see how useful they are for your project. Yeah. So essentially, to recap, building information modeling, you're combining geometry with data. Yeah. And an IFC, something foundation components. I forgot what I means, but IFC is a data structure which combines geometry and data, and it's used in different software. Yeah. So you know how you export something in DWG in AutoCAD? In BIM software, you'll export something as IFC. And if you want to use it in ArchiCAD, IFC is a format that's understood by ArchiCAD, Bentley, MicroStation, and Revit. Yeah. So IFC is kind of the general kind of structure, and then there's different applications for BIM. So Revit, etc. And this IFC is very important here because, again, you can transfer between different applications, but it enables the collaboration as well. So in BIM, you'll have a single model, usually on a cloud, and essentially the engineer, the architect, the MEP consultants, they all work on the same model on the cloud. Yeah, there's real-time updates, and of course this makes sense because if everyone's working on their own AutoCAD file, sometimes you get problems with duplicating information and someone changing something on one end and not communicating it properly on the other end, and then you get a lot of problems, right? So this is the whole idea of BIM, is to enable the collaboration properly, live feedback, and prevent really some of these issues happening. Okay, so snapshot of a Revit model. You can see here on the top right is your 3-dimensional geometry preview. Right, so your building, your landscape, your gates, windows, etc. And on the left, this is not a separate drawing, right? This is a drawing taken as a section from the model itself. So you change anything in 3D or in plan, it updates in the 3D and section, etc. Okay. So you see there's different views. There's also the elevation. The elevation is taken from the 3D model. Everything's taken from the 3D model. And in these drawings here, what you do is you control the information communicated. So you can annotate. So in 3D, you won't see the dimensions, right? That's because the dimensions are only enabled in your plan, or the dimensions are only enabled on your elevation. Yeah. So think these are called views. Is when you take a model and you create a view and annotate it with the information you need for that drawing. Yeah. Again, so this is the whole thing. And it's worth mentioning here that the geometry usually is, has the data embedded within it, right? So if you model a wall in BIM, generally, and in Revit, you model a wall with its layers. Yeah. So you specify 100 brick, 100 insulation, 100 block, for example, 12 plasterboard. Yeah. This information is embedded within the geometry. So this is something very important, and if there's one thing you need to take out of this is BIM is not a design tool, right? BIM is think of it as an evolution of CAD, because no one will design in CAD, right? You won't start from scratch and design in CAD. CAD is a drafting software. It helps you present information and communicate information. The same thing with BIM. The way BIM works sometimes is very difficult to deal with when you change stuff. And that's because it's not designed for you to change something drastically. Yeah, it's designed to control your information and change things gradually within what you have. So move a wall, move a window, but not redesign your whole building, right? So again, very important. You see this meme over here on the top. Architects used to draw. They went into CAD. They draw in CAD. BIM is the same thing. It's just the evolution, and it takes CAD into 3D and embeds data within it, right? So Revit's not a design tool, so you're not supposed to use it at the beginning stages of your project. You use different approaches, whether it's computational, drafting, sketching, model making, etc. But once you have the design and dimensions, and the proportions in your head right, then you go into BIM and model everything out in detail. Modeling in BIM. So I'll show this page first. So everything's embedded in hierarchies, right? So you have categories of elements. So think of your windows as a category. Think of your doors as a category. Think of your columns as a category, right? Each of these categories you can do certain things with, right? So a door will always start from the floor, right? You won't get a door in the middle of a wall, right? So that's one of the limitations of that category. Family is types of doors. No, so family is one step lower, which is a I don't want to use the word type here because there's another level, right? Just think of it as a family, so a kind of door. So you can have door with has 2 leaves that opens. Yeah, you can have a fire door. You can have a main entrance door. You can have an indoor in the partition wall door, right? So these are families. These are different types of doors, and then you get the type which is slightly kind of lower in detail, which is the dimensions of that specific door, right? So you have internal doors, sometimes 900 mil, sometimes 100 mil. These are the different types, right? And the instances are the outcomes of those types. So this page, these slides, by the way, are on Teams, so you can download them. I also have I'll show you in a bit. I also have a tutorial PDF on there as well for you to follow later on. But essentially, it's here, right? So you have columns. There's different families of columns. There's rectangular columns and there's round columns. And there's different types of columns. So you have rectangular 600 mil. You have other ones that are 600 by 700. And the instances is how many of those types do you have in your project, right? So hopefully this makes sense, because this is one of the main things that is not communicated well when people first start using BIM and Revit. And of course, there's the whole environment around it with other software as well. So on the right, massing computational design, there's an interface, Rhino inside Revit, the plugin that enables you to go from Rhino to Revit. And there's other things as well. So Twinmotion, a renderer that you can use with Revit, documentation, etc. Yeah, so there's a whole kind of ecosystem, but today we'll just focus on Revit. There's also a similar kind of plugin to Grasshopper for Rhino, which is called Dynamo in Revit. Dynamo is very good when you want to automate some building tasks. But again, it's restricted to Rhino geometry and Rhino standards. Yeah, so you always have to work with walls, but you don't have to work with walls, but it's less flexible geometrically than Grasshopper. Grasshopper just deals with geometry. Think of Revit and Dynamo dealing with more BIM elements. Cool. So hopefully that's clear. Do you have any questions about BIM and why you use BIM at all? Yeah. Shall we get into the workshop? Cool. Good. Anything online? No. Cool. Right. So can you all launch Revit, please? May I know where is the classroom, as there is no HBS room in the humanities building? So if you go to the second floor, it's 2.1 and 2.2. Sorry, 2.1 and 2.2. So as soon as you go up the stairs, you go through the corridor, turn right, and there to your left. HBS means humanities building, right? So it's not the name of the room. The room is 2.1 and 2.2. Yeah, for the Revit workshop. Revit workshop, yeah. Yeah. Okay. So don't open any files yet. I want to go through a sample file and explain it a bit, and then we'll go into modeling our own thing. Okay. So as soon as you open Revit, you should have a sample architecture project over here. Just click on that. Yeah. And it will load an existing Revit example for us to look through. Yeah. So in the meantime, while you all get this up, so Revit is I think it's the #1 software that practices will expect you to know, right? So again, think of it as an evolution of BIM. So that shouldn't really affect anything in terms of your designs and your ability to produce designs. It's all about documentation. So there's no, so it's a standard of communication, collaboration, documentation that you need to be aware of, and employers are especially looking for it. Yeah. So it's definitely worth learning a bit. Sometimes it's not very fun to work with, I'll be honest, right? Because sometimes you want to do something and it's not liking it, but that's how it's built. It's built so there's certain limitations that you can't, you can always overcome them, but in terms of how sometimes there's a bit of workarounds, etc. But again, it's for documentation and communication. So whenever you can't do something necessarily well, always understand that this is a limitation because it's powerful in other parts. Okay, so as soon as you open your, have you all got it open, the sample file? Yeah? You haven't installed Revit? Yeah, it's loading. Yeah, okay. So sample file. So so on the top you have these tabs. We'll work through them more in a bit. So architecture here is where you'll find most of your building elements that you're going to use. So wall, doors, windows, and roofs, ceilings, floors, etc. Yeah, we'll go through these in a bit. Structure is when you are doing the foundations, etc. Beams. Systems. Insert, this is when you want to link external files into your Revit and work with them. Annotate, this is when you're adding dimensions, etc. Yeah. Massing, we'll also touch about this a bit today, but you can see, you can go through these tabs and really try to understand what's going on here. Right? Okay, so to your left, you should all have a project browser. So these two here, it might be to your right. Sometimes they load it on either side, sometimes they load it on both sides, whatever. Well, the project browser is where you navigate through your different drawings and different layers of your building. And your properties is also very important, is when what allows you to control the data within your categories. Yeah. So as soon as you load, you'll get this. So this is a view, and it's showing you it's a it's a project here with some renders and a schedule. Yeah. So if we zoom in here, this table is taken from the model directly. Yeah. So if you change something in the model, it updates in the table. And everything here is taken from the model directly. Nothing here is kind of just pasted, right? So again, if you change something in 3D or in your plans, everything updates. Right. So we'll start off by going right to the top right here, where it says floor plans, and just double click on level 1. Sorry. Before that, let's double click on sites. And you should all have this coming up, right? As you can see, these are not lines, but this is a kind of a top view of our model. So you can actually select certain elements. So to go on 3D, you either go here on the top, or you should find it at the bottom of your 3D view with the curly brackets. Yeah. So if you double click on there, zoom in with your scroll wheel. If you click on a building element, hold down Shift and scroll wheel, you can rotate around that element. Yeah.
Mahmoud, sorry to interrupt you. What if you can't see the project browser?
Okay, so if you can't see the project browser, if you go on View User Interface, it should be here, project browser.
Thank you.
Yep. So yeah, so you should all have this come up, right? So you can see we talked about categories. So if you click on an element over here on your properties, it tells you it's a basic roof. Yeah? So it's telling you it's a category. If you click here, these are different. Okay, I only have 2 types of roofs loaded, but these are the families, different classes of roofs, which are families here. So I can go here and change that class of roof, and now I've got a different roof makeup. Yeah. So
I'm sorry to interrupt, but how do you orbit around in the model?
So to orbit, hold down Shift.
Yeah.
And press on your scroll wheel.
Oh, but it's not doing that for me.
You're holding down Shift or Control?
Shift.
Shift and scroll wheel?
Yeah, it's not doing anything.
Right click.
Yeah, still not. It's just moving it around.
Okay, so if you press on your scroll wheel, can you move this around? Can you pan?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if it's Shift.
Yeah, it's still just panning with Shift.
So yeah, with Control you zoom in and out. If you can't rotate with that, just we'll fix it later or something to do with shortcuts. But you can do it for here, right? The top right. If you click on the front, it'll give you an elevation. The top will give you a plan, and if you just hold the corners and rotate, you can rotate around. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Could you please send the sample file on the chat?
So it should be already on your Revit interface as soon as you open Revit.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. So if you open Revit, the first thing comes up is click on the sample file. Yeah. Again, if you don't have it for some reason, just ignore it for now. We're going to start from scratch later, right? I'm just here to demonstrate a few things. Yeah. So you can see you can click on different components, right? And it tells you here what family, what category, and then on the type here, it tells you what type, right? So this gives you an insight into the structure of it. You hold here, this is a different family. So everything in family, everything in Revit, sorry, is categories. Yeah, everything, even your drawings. So if we go back, well, we'll do that later. Okay. So hopefully that's clear in terms of how the components, etc. work. Okay, so now let's go on level 1. So yeah, so if you go on level 1, You don't have to follow me here, right? But I'm just clicking on something and then going back on the 3D just to show you that that was underground, so I'm not going to see it. But if I select the railings, for example, and then go back into 3D, it's not showing. Here, let's try that again. Yeah, you can see it's still selected. Yeah. So everything I move here, you can try just moving something just for the sake of it, right? So click on something and then move like this, and then go on your 3D and see what happens. You can mess this up as much as you want, doesn't matter. Just don't save it, otherwise they'll save your sample file. Yeah. So you can see here, I just moved this wall, and this whole thing changed, right? If I go on level 2, I can see these changes are made. You can move it in whichever direction. Yeah. So here, when we go on 3D, you can see it's moved. Yeah. Okay. So okay, in 3D again, just to illustrate. So at the bottom here, you have you can control different things. So you can control the drawing itself and what it presents to you. So if you go on wireframe, it makes everything into a frame. And you can see how now this is looking interesting in terms of a representation in a drawing, right? Exporting line drawings, overlaying images together. So here, you can also try doing hidden line. So it gives you a very clean line drawing. You can go on the shadows, turn them on. Here. Yeah. So this turns the shadows on and off. You can click on here and adjust the settings as well for your lighting. Yeah. So I can turn the sun path on. This, whatever, I'll just use a standard, and it gives you a sun path diagram as well. Yeah. Yeah. And I can change this at different points in time and see how that looks as well in real time. Nice. Shaded will show me kind of a texture. Consistent colors, it's another view. Unrealistic here, I don't want to click on it because sometimes they'll crap. Well, I've already done, but it kind of gives you a ray trace view. Yeah. Okay, so let's hope this doesn't crash. Okay, so here you see this is kind of more of a kind of render, right? So you can see with textures, etc. So I'm just going to go off that because this is not how you render anyway, and you shouldn't really be using this. So the best ones are usually to work with are hidden line, shaded, and wireframe. Yeah. This is another one, but this is more clear in plan. So if you go back to level, having issues with the screen over here. Seconds. Right. Okay. So if you go on level 1, and I'll show you how these levels are generated later on. But now just let's explore it a bit more. If you go level 1, and then you can actually control the level of detail. Yeah. So if you do coarse and zoom in, you see all these walls are just block lines. Yeah. But if I change this to fine, I'm getting all those layers that I talked about in terms of what's in the wall. Right. And if I click on this wall, this is a pre-specified so I'm not sure why the screen is not working, to be honest. Just give me a second. I'm gonna close this. Is that better? Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
So yes, here. on the the VGA cable is not working properly. Okay. Okay, so let's hope it stays that way. Yeah, but you see, look, when you click on these, this is one single model embedded with these different layers. Yeah. So when I in your own projects, you'll have different wall makeups. Yeah, you're not all going to use the ones in Revit. Yeah. So when you make a new wall, you click on wall. This gives you some preloaded values, right? So it gives you a cavity wall, it gives you exterior wall, and if you click on these and go on edit type, and then on structure, it tells you exactly what the layers are. Yeah. So I have here common brick with a thickness of 90. I have a thermal layer, 78, membrane layer, substrates, plywood. Yeah. And then, yeah, so let's go back. So you can click on any wall. So let's click on this one. Yeah. And then you go on edit type. And then go on edit. Yeah. So you can see here the wall makeup. So everything has a thickness. We'll just focus on the three main columns at the beginning, right? So the function here is where you change the function. So if something's structural, you set it as structural. If something is a finish, you set it as a finish. If something's in insulation or an air gap, you set it as air gap. Over here, and these are the different materials. Yeah. So over here, you can click on this button, and you can change the material inside here. So here you'll find some, again, preloaded materials. So timber finishes, air, if you're having an air gap, types of insulation, etc. Or you can create your own, right? You create your own and you can create your own material and then bring it in here. We see a thickness here. So if I come here, I'll change this to 100, the thickness. I want you to see how it is now. So you can see how it is now, right? And I click on OK. There's conflicts, fine. This is why Revit is not a design software, because I'm going to ruin the whole model now. And click on OK. You see how it increased thickness? So this increased thickness for the type, for the family. Yeah. So if I'm going to create a new wall, what I'll do here is go duplicates and call it my wall. OK. I'm gonna let me get delete. You don't have to follow this, right? I just want to show you here and here. I want to do cast in situ concretes. Okay. And then I've changed that wall to a cast in situ concrete. Yeah. So I duplicated and created a new wall, right? So I've changed the family of this wall, but the rest are still within the same family. So if I come here and change anything within this family, I'm going to change this back to 22, I think it was. 22. Okay. Apply. It's going to apply to the same family in all of your projects. Yeah. So again, here I created a new family and edited it by myself because I duplicated it. Here, no. So you see how you embed everything and try, in the drawing. It's important to get, it gives you the flexibility of changing the makeup later on, but at the same time, changes your plans, etc. So sometimes they might change it in the way you don't want it to be changed. So it's always best to start with your own walls, build your own walls, build your own layers, and start drawing with those walls. Don't start drawing with any random wall on Revit.
Is there a way to know what elements I have within one family so I can know if anything is?
Yeah, so exactly how I showed you. So you can go on wall, select an existing wall. So maybe this is the closest thing to what I want to do. It says here, so these are different walls, but SIP panel 200 wall, 202 wall. So if I click on that, SIP is structural integrated panels. If If I go and edit, it gives me exactly what's made up here.
No, but on the plan, if there is an existing one which is made in the same, I see that,
If there's an existing one, that's
which is made in the same family.
yeah. So you can select. So if I go here, right click, select all instances in entire project. I'm selecting all the same walls. Yeah. We'll get to that later. But the most important thing now is, look, okay, just to, I closed my PowerPoint presentation because my graphics card is overloaded, but there's a category. Now we're working with the category wall. Yeah. A wall will always be a wall. A wall will never turn into a window. So because it's a category, it has certain limits and functions enabled in Revit. So if I want to create a new wall, a new type of wall, I can just go wall here, edit, duplicate, and then make my own wall. So this is me creating my own wall family, so to speak. Okay. So of course the main thing is walls, and then we have other families like doors and windows. So doors and windows always are embedded within walls. Yeah. So I can put a, see, it's not letting me put a door anywhere. Yeah. So this specific category, door or window, only works within a wall. Right. So if I go close to a wall, it knows, okay, you want to put a wall. So if I click here, now it's putting the sliding door in. Yeah. Does that make sense? Well, this applies to doors and windows, etc. So yeah, so again, this sample project is really an excellent way for you to at the moment, this looks very complicated, right? Because it has a lot of information, but it's only walls and doors put together and then annotated properly, and it looks like a project, right? So everything here is controlled. Okay, so what we can do now is look at let's look at the 3D views. So these are saved 3D views, right? Do you recognize this? This was on the first page we opened. Yeah. So these are saved images, saved snapshots of our model to the project here. Yeah, see, this is my change earlier on. Yeah. If you go, this is a internal view of a kitchen. See, this is in a different view here, right? So I can go back here. I can change this to wireframe and just leave it there. Go back to a different view, change it to something else, and go back here. It's still the same. Yeah. So any edits I make in the viewports in that specific place will stay there. Yeah. Because again, I have the model in the background, and I'm just changing what I'm communicating, yeah, by controlling these different things. So kitchen, living room, solar analysis. Yeah. So this is a 3D view. Yeah. So you can duplicate this, for example. So if I go here, duplicate view, duplicate, and now I have a separate view. And this one I can do whatever I want with it, right? I can do this, right? And now that view is saved there. Yeah. And these are saved as elements that I can bring on later into my drawing. So if I go to my drawing here, I can actually go and just think of these as packs of information, these levels here. I can just go here and bring it on here. Yeah. And now this is how I want my page to look like. Right. Same thing with the floor plans. Okay, so the floor plan's already loaded in a different drawing. That's fine. I'm just going to duplicate here. Duplicate view. And if I go my sheets here, I can bring in that new view that I created here. Yeah. So sheets are where I can capture all my information and put them in. And these are the, this this has a room layout. Yeah. So in my next drawing here, if I go on duplicate view, maybe this one, I want to get rid of the structural grid, right? So I just delete. Okay. Delete like this. Well, I'm actually, so one important thing to distinguish here before I delete everything. So if I delete a piece of furniture, it's going to get deleted in my 3D model, right? If I delete this, it's going to be deleted in my view. Yeah. So if I go back, no, well, I delete, well. So again, so if I go here, because I copied it, I deleted it in the previous view as well. But look, I can create a new dimension over here like this. And this is only saved here, right? It's not going to be saved here. Yeah. So this is how you'd create different drawings. Okay, so we talked about floor plans, 3D views, elevations, same things. But before I go to elevations, let's go to the sections. Yeah. So if I go on level 1, this here is a section line over here. Yeah. And I can draw this anywhere or move it. So let's say I want my section to be somewhere else. I can just move it around. And this will change my section view over here. Right? So the section is the first thing you'll start off setting off in Revit because you need to set these levels. Yeah. So think of these as reference planes. So in 3D, I want to go here. So go to 3D. Okay, so my levels are not enabled over here, but so if I go on view, visibility graphics, I go down. Okay, then over here, where are they? Yeah. So again, this is very useful to show over here. So this one over here, where it has the lamp, it shows you the hidden geometry. Yeah. So in this view, I can go over here and hide. Let's say this is another information pack I want to communicate. I can go hide over here on modify. I can't hide this, but maybe I want to hide the tree. Right? Hide elements. Yeah. And then if I go here, it shows me that it was hidden. Right. So you can see here in 3D, you also have the levels, and it's hidden in this specific view. But I can go click them, and I can over here unhide elements. And then if I click off, let's try that again. Unhide category. Okay, so the category was hidden, but anyway. So yeah, if I go back here, you see everything's in levels. Yeah. So if I click on one, you can see that there's a whole plane, like a surface, highlighted. And this is where I control all my geometries. Yeah. So think of my wall over here. My wall is connected to the top level. It's connected to 2 levels. So if this model is modeled correctly, if I change this to 6500, enter, delete elements, whatever, I can see that my wall's gone up, or my roof's gone up. Yeah. So again, if I go back in section, this is what I'm controlling. This is my plane. So if I move it up, I'm moving my wall up because my wall is connected to that level. Yeah. So everything is linked together, sometimes in inflexible ways, but that's how Revit works, right? It's not showing on your 3D model. Yeah. So if you go on 3D and it's not showing, click on this one, reveal hidden elements, small lamp at the bottom, and then click on your levels and then do unhide category or unhide elements. And then if you click back off, should show. So if you just click on the top here, roughly in the middle. Yeah. So yeah, again, my walls are all connected to, on the bottom is connected to one level, and on the top is connected to another different level. So if I change the floor to ceiling height, or ceiling, floor to floor height, everything changes. Yeah, so stairs, they're components you model, again, similar to windows and doors you put within walls. And then these furniture are also components. So you bring them in. Revit has some existing components. So the ones we see here, these you'll find in Revit. You can just bring them in, it's fine. And if you can't find something, there's a lot of online, think of SketchUp Warehouse, where you can download other models. You can download specific furniture, specific doors, specific anything, yeah, and just put it into your Revit, load it as a component, and then you can use it in your Revit model. Okay, so sections. Just thinking, is there anything else I need to? Is everything clear for now in terms of how it works? Because we're going to start modeling from scratch, right? Was everything clear how everything links together? Yeah. Okay. Any questions online? No? Cool. Okay. So let's close all these windows. So if I go here, just close them all. And do you want to save changes? No, don't save changes, because we just ruined the whole sample file, right? Then go on new, go on architecture templates. And then click on OK. Yeah. So new architecture template, click on OK. So this is the default interface you're gonna, every time you start a new project, this is what you're gonna get. Right? So it takes you to the first level 0 plan. You get these 4 elements. These 4 elements, if you double click on the black triangular bits, it takes you to the elevation. Okay? So it's already set up elevations for you. And because there's a clue over here, because there's 2 levels, level 0 and level 1, it's set up 2 levels for you as well. So yeah, ignore ceiling plan for now, ignore 3D views, just go on. You can see these are the 4 different elements here, right? And if you click on any of these, you can see that there's 2 levels set up. So I can change this to 0. Would you like to rename? Yes. And then you can see here is 0 change as well. And then I can change this to 1, enter. I might not want to rename it, so I'll just say yes or no, depending. If I want to rename it, just say yes. Yeah, and you can see it's updated over here. Elevations. Okay. So let's go back to the 0 view, or level 0 view. And we're going to start modeling. So there's 2 ways. I'm going to show you both ways, hopefully if we have time. But we're just going to start with modeling the walls, the doors, windows, floors, stairs, roof. The elements every building should have. So if you go on wall, again, click on wall. And you see here, we have different families loaded, because this is a different file. But the way they're named here is very useful. Yeah? Because I know this is wall, exterior, 102 brickwork. A lot of you know the brick dimensions, right? 102 brickwork, 75 insulation, 100% block, 12 plaster. Yeah. So in the UK, this will be typical. This is the typical wall built up in the UK. Yeah. Your projects might not be the same. If this is a brick wall, if you're doing timber wall, it's not going to be this. Yeah. You have to model it based on your own project. Yeah. So brick wall, and then you just draw it, right? So we'll go again. So just click on there, you have some options over here, right? So whenever you click on something or do something, always keep an eye on this area in Revit, because it'll either tell you something or give you other options. Location of the line, so I can draw a wall through the center here. And I can actually change the scale over here. So if I want to see this in more detail, I would go to 1 to 100, maybe, if it's already 1 to 100, 1 to 50. Yeah. If I want even more detail, 1 to 20. And you can see it has the typical hatch. So it has the brickwork hatch, the gap, and blockwork hatch, etc. If we go on wall again, it gives me the option to, we drew it from the center line. You can do it from the core center line. Yeah. So core, if we click on this, edit type, go on edit, see here where it says core boundary. Yeah. So it'll take the center line of this masonry unit over here. So that's what it means by core center line. Wall again, I have another option. So finish face is usually a good one to go with. Yeah. So you can see I'm drawing it from the blockwork, not blockwork, sorry, the brickwork face. Yeah. So really, best practice is to either bring in a DWG or geometry that it's already in place and you can just draw the walls in. Yeah. Or if you want to, you can also model lines over here. So you can draw whatever. Let's say this is your DWG, or you can draw in here. Yeah. So then what you can do is go on wall. You can click on the line. You can do this. It's already draw it for me. Yeah, so let's do that again. If you go on model line, you can draw the lines. Yeah, model lines are they're just lines, nothing else, right? I can use them for reference. I can either go ahead here and draw it like this, or I can just select. It gives you options here. So I can actually draw walls like this. I can draw walls like this, right? I can do this, right? Or I can select so. Oh, again, just always keep an eye out here. It gives you the option to pick line or pick faces. Yeah, but we can do this. Let's do this for now. So at the moment I have this finished face, right? So that's why when I'm clicking on it, it's going inside. If I have the other way, if I have the face interior, it'll be this way. The interior will be on the inside, but it's working in a funny way here, right? So finish face exterior here. Finish face exterior, finish face exterior. Right? So let's see what we can do here. So these are different ways we can model it, but we're just gonna do something rectangular today. Just like that. If you click on one of the walls, this parameter comes up. Yeah. So again, Revit knows these are different walls, right? If you click on this, I can enter a value here, or the align dimension tool. This is very useful in Revit. So if I click on this, I can start picking. I can start picking different parts of the wall. Yeah, faces, of course, and the wall faces here. So I can click on the end. I can click on this part here, and then once I come here, I can change this to whatever 5,000. So this gives me kind of a pseudo parametric way of controlling my dimensions. Same here. I'm going to do the same just because I can do this from the inside as well, by the way, right? So I can zoom in. If you can't select the wall, just click on tab. here. This is how you usually measure internal dimensions. You don't measure it from plaster, you measure it from block to block. Then you go here, and then you can enter a different dimension. So we can go on 3D view and see what we've created, right? We were on level 0. You can see our drawing, our walls start from level 0. Yeah. But you see they're going past the level 1 mark. Right? So if I hover over, I can select one wall. If I click on tab, it lets me select everything. Right? So that's one way of selecting. Another way of selecting is just to do this. Is that clear? Yeah. So again, I mentioned earlier that the way you should use Revit is by always referencing planes. So if you select on all these walls, or close it together, and go on the properties panel, this is where you will spend a lot of your time in Revit, by the way, the properties panel. You can see some of the information over here that you can change. Yeah. So location line, okay, that's fine. We drew it from the beginning. Base constraints. So if I click on this, I shouldn't have named it 0, 1, but this is giving me the constraint on the which references, right? So at the moment I chose 0, it goes to 0. If I chose 1, it'll constrain it to 1. Okay. So now if I go to 0, there's nothing, right? Because my wall's gone up. If I go to 1, I should see my wall there. Yeah. So go back in 3D, select these again. You want to constrain it to level 0 or 0. Apply. I'm gonna rename these level 1. Yes. And level 0. 0 enter. So again, because we're constraining the bottom, we also want to constrain the top. So if you go on top constraint, you can see it's unconnected, which means I can change whatever, right? This doesn't really play a role in my wall at all. Yeah. So if I go here, select again, I can constrain this to level 1. Apply. Yeah. Now, whenever I change this level, my wall changes. My wall changes with it as well. But sometimes these levels will be in the way. You can just do this, right, and move them, right? Or I can move my building itself. Whatever. It can just be crude today. I'm gonna change this to 700, or just 3. Let's go with 3,000, just because it's a nice round number to work with. So I think we should add 2 more levels. So there's different ways of doing this, but the best way is generally to go to your elevations or section over here. You can either copy. So if you copy, it creates a new level. Yeah. Control Z. Or you can create a new level here. You can see it's giving me the dimensions, right? So 3,000, I know is fine. It's better to create it using the new levels, because once you create a new level, you already get level 2 here. Yeah. If I'm doing it the copy, if I'm doing this copy method, you'll notice that I don't get a new level, right? And you can make a new level from it, but not to overwhelm you today with all different kinds of stuff, you can just do this, right? Yeah. So I'm going to use level 1 to control where my floor is. I'm going to use I'm going to call this level 2 to control where the top of my wall is. Right? So because I'm controlling the top of my wall, I want to go here and change this to not this one, sorry. This one to level 2. Apply. Okay, so what we can do now is let's add a roof and some floors. So let's start with the floors. So if I go on level 0, this is what I get, right? I can go on architecture, floor. Just do floor architectural. There's different ways I can do this. You see it's giving me option, pick walls. I can pick the wall like this. And you can see, look, it's using the block work for structure, which is exactly what we want. Yeah. Or you can draw it. You can even go ahead and draw your floor in like this. The way you want it. We're going to come back and change the floor later on, but let's just do this for now. These 2 lines over here, they're directions of span. So it's basically telling me that the floor will span this way, but if I want to change it, I just go here and do span direction here, and it changes it here. But we want it to be the shortest path, so this is fine. Click. For some reason, I didn't pick the lower wall. So pick all 4 walls, please, and then click on the tick. And again, let's just go back and see what's happened. So this is a ground floor. We didn't change the makeup, right? But you can go here. You can see there's a floor upper with 160 concrete. There's a floor timber. There's a floor ground bearing. Yeah, so I'm just going to use this one for now. Cool. And because we did it in ground 0, on level 0, it should be restricted to level 0. So here, if I change this, yeah, I'm going to Control Z because we want level 0 to start at 0. Just because it's easier to work with for the tutorial. You can see the constraint is to the top of the floor, right? If for any reason, you shouldn't really do this unless necessary. You might want to offset. So you might want to constrain, but always leave a gap. Yeah. So here, let's say I want the wall to be constrained 100 mil below my top level. Does that make sense? So I just enter 100 over here. Apply. You can see it's just gone up slightly. Yeah. So if I go on plan 0, at the top you'll find the section icon. This is where you create your sections. You can cut it whichever way you wish, like this. And then you just zoom in. Shortcut is to always double click on this triangle here. And you see this is where our floor is. And if we measure over here, top of my floor to the left is 100, right? Because I've set it here. So if I come back here, change this 200, apply, we'll move it even up. Yeah, will always be constrained. So if I move this, this will always stay 200. I'm going to Control Z. Well, just delete this. I'm going to go back here and change this to 0. Apply. Yeah. So this is our ground floor. First floor, exactly the same commands. So again, go here, architecture, floor, and pick the walls. Nothing different. Click on yes. The floor roof overlap. Floor roof overlap highlights walls. By the way, you always get pop-ups, so make sure you read them properly. Just going to click yes. And because we created the new section element, it creates a new list item for us here, section 1. And we can zoom in, and you can see that, okay, this is our floor now, right? So I'm going to change this to concrete for now. Yeah. Change it to timber, because this is how you, this detail is roughly correct here. Is everyone at this stage? Yeah? Okay. Right, so now we can model the roof. So we can go on level 2. So again, properties panel is always the #1 thing to go to because it has a lot of options for you over there. So if you scroll down, and it's worth looking at these in your own time, right? So you can change the scale of your drawing. This affects the detail and affects the size of the drawing when you bring it into your views. Remember when I dragged it earlier? It'll put it to scale based on the size of the paper setup. Again, detail level, path, visibility overrides, those. This is when you want to control certain hatches or patterns over here. But if you go all the way down to view range, click edit, because our plans are horizontal sections, right? And in this horizontal cut, there's a range set up. Yeah. So at the moment we're at level 2, but we can't see what's underneath because we're cutting at level 2 and it's only showing us what's above level 2. So I can go here, go on unlimited, apply, and it'll show me what's underneath my level 2. Yeah. So go on view range over here on the properties. So by the way, if you have a wall selected, there's no view range. If you deselect everything, the properties will be the properties of your viewport. Yeah. If you click on a wall, it'll give you the properties of a wall. You don't want that. You want the viewport. So here, view range, view depth, unlimited. Click on OK. And you can see it's an outline because we're not cutting it through. Right. So now, go on roof. Click on roof. Pick walls. We can control the overhang over here. So let's say we want 250 overhang. You go here and it'll give us an overhang. Yeah. So let's do that. So let's delete these are lines, by the way, you're drawing, right? So when you're creating a wall or a floor, it takes you into a modify mode. So it grays out everything and lets you draw lines for it to generate the geometry. So I can go here, control the overhang, 200 should be fine. Click, 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 click. Yeah. So this distance over here is 200 from the leaf because we've set it up here. I can't see the chats online. So if you have any questions online, just unmute and ask me, please. Yeah. Okay, so these walls, you see there's a triangle over here, right? This is where you define the slope. So if you click on the line, again, the line has properties on itself. Yeah. So if I untick this, this won't be a slope. A slope won't start from this line. Right? This is how I make hipped or gable roofs, etc. So again, I'm just going to show you this for now, right? So everything should have a triangle next to it. I want you to select these two and deselect slope. And then go and click on the tick box. You should have something come up like this. And if you go to 3D, this should be the roof. Did you get there? Yeah. So again, if you ticked it, rather than redraw a roof, you can delete this and redraw again, or you can double click and it'll take you to this mode. Again, we need to do it in plan, right? So these two lines here, I have this tick box, define slope. Yeah, that's why I have two gables. Yeah, so my two sides are sloped, and the one to the south and the north are not, because I haven't defined them here. If I go here, define these as sloped as well. Tick. You see the roof has changed. If I go on 3D, yeah. So I have a hipped roof instead. Of course, if I select all these, nothing is sloped. Click OK. I have a flat roof. Okay. So level 0, I want to edit footprint here. I can also try something different here, right? So I can do this. I want this sloped. I don't want this sloped. You can create your own roof. Just play around with it for a couple of minutes, create your own roof. You can just change it. Yeah, because you didn't define the slope. So this is what I'm doing here, right? So you select on the edge that you want it to slope. Yeah. So think about it as the edge coming down to your wall with an angle. You select it and then you hear, is it sloped or is it not? On the tick box on the properties. Yeah. So if you play around with it, then you might get something that looks like this. Right. It all depends on what I define the sloped and not sloped. Right. And if it doesn't work properly, I can go back here. Okay, define this as slope. Enter. Okay, and this is looking like something more. Something you'd see more in kind of the UK context, right? Yeah, but I don't want to do these for now. I'm just going to go with something simple. So TR is a useful command to just connect two lines together rather than redrawing them. And then, of course, your delete button. I'll have these two sloped, and the rest I'll leave them as is. So I'm just going to do this. Yeah. So at the moment, of course, we have these two ends that we need to connect, right? So if you click on these two walls, attach top base, click on this. Let's try that again. So you can see this side is done. Well, actually, I should select all four walls. Yeah, all four, attach top base, and then click on the roof. And you see everything's attached nicely. Yeah, so you can do this, or you can highlight on one wall, click tab. That'll give you different selecting options. Can you click? It doesn't change anything. So select your walls, click on attach top base, then select your roof. If you hover over the icons, they'll tell you. Yeah, generally it's the order that you didn't get right or something. Yeah, and if I go on section, this is looking like something. Okay, the roof is pitched. You can change the roof makeup, right? Because everything is set. You can see here, this is where it meets. I can change this. This is my view window. So yeah, I can also add a ceiling over here. So a ceiling, something you'll have underside your on the side of your roof or on the side of your floor. So if I go on architecture ceiling, it tells me you can't make a ceiling section. Of course I can't. So I go on level 2, open view, and I can, well, let's go on level 1, sorry. Level 1, and then click on ceiling again. There's a function where it automatically generates ceiling for me like this, or I can sketch it out. Yeah. So I can draw it, or I can automatically generate it here. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, again, Revit always gives you this warnings. So it's telling me none of the elements created are visible because where we're cutting, the ceiling is above it. So we're not going to see it. But if we go on section, we should be able to see it. Yeah. Same thing. So click on the elements. Where do you want it restricted to? I'm going to restrict it to level 0, 0 offset, level 2 with 0 offset, apply, and I'll take it right up to level 2 like this. Yeah. So if you go in here, compound ceiling, yeah, we just have a plasterboard kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah. So if you go on level 0, right? And now suddenly we decide we want to make our building wider. We can just do this. Let's say we want to make it wider by 2500. Enter. If you go on section, we can check everything is working fine. Right? Because we built the walls, we've linked the floors to the walls, right? Because remember the line are inside the wall itself, right? So if I double click on my, we can do it level 1, right? If I go here, tab, sorry, go here, hover over, tab, 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 no, not over here. I can't select it in my plan, but if I go on section, I can select it over here, edit boundary, and it's telling me which level should I take it to edit boundary. I'll just say level 1, open view. So these walls are linked to my, the floor is linked to my wall. Yeah. If I change it here, it's okay. Now I have a gap in my floor, right? And this is not constrained anymore. Well, it is constrained, but to a set distance. Here. If I move this in, it's not constrained to here, right? So an interesting way to work with this is that and this is sometimes when you model something more complicated, you have to do often. So align, which is here. Align, where's the align one? There, this one, yeah. Align, and you see where it says align, there's an AL in brackets. So AL is a shortcut, so you can click here, AL, once you get the hang of it. If you click on the host first, sometimes you won't be able to select it unless you press tab. Yeah. So tab goes into the category, and then click on this, and then it takes it straight there. Yeah, easier than drawing it, more accurate than drawing it. If I click on this lock, whenever I change the wall, the flow will always change. Yeah. So the lock is very useful. Again, this is not the best demonstration for a floor, but let's say you're doing something else that you want to lock in place with another element. I'll always keep it locked in place. Yeah, and sometimes it'll just ask you to save your project. I haven't saved it yet, so that's why it's asking me. It's been desktop. Revit creates a lot of files, creates backup files, so save it somewhere not on your desktop. It's a good advice. Somewhere not on your Windows hard drive, so just on your D drive or something. So let's go back in 3D and see what we've got here. So in every view, I have something called the viewports. So if I go here to my extents, and if I click on this one here, crop region. Yeah. Sometimes you'll draw something in 3D. So I'll try to demonstrate. So here, I'm drawing a wall over here, right? And I go on level 1, and I can't see it. Right. This is a default view. It's because there's a hidden viewport. This is the viewport. I open it. I enable it by clicking on this, apply, and then, well, I can still see it, but apply. But this crop view, if I click on this, apply, it'll crop everything outside of it. Yeah. So this is very useful when you're doing plans or something where there's a lot of noise and you just want to focus on one thing. Yeah. So this to turn it on. Once you turn it on, you can actually change it. If you don't have it turn it on, you don't know the extent, you can't select anything. And this is if you want to crop anything outside of that. Yeah. Cool. The same applies in 3D view, so that's why I mentioned it. So here, I'm gonna delete this because it's pointless. I go in here. Extent. This is my extent view. Yeah. Here. That's fine because this is my default 3D view. I just want to leave it open. But there's something here that's very useful for you for perspective sections called the section box. So if I tick on that, apply, it gives me this box. And with this box, I can do a 3D section in different ways, right? This. So think of your sample project and you want to show it in perspective. You can do this, right? So go into 3D, click, don't have anything selected, and then go on extents over here, and then just tick on the section box. Yeah, and this is it just creates this view for you, so you can. It's a good way to if you're modeling something, you just want to focus on it like this, right? Or if you're exporting something, an axonometric or whatever, you can do it through this way. Yeah, and if you don't want it, you just click on section box again. Here, apply. It goes away. Right, so let's add some windows and doors to our building. So maybe before that, we just want to add the topography, right? And so to add the topography, you go on this massing insight. Massing insight tab, click on topography. Basically, what you're going to do is place points, yeah, and each point has an elevation. Yeah. So it's like a LiDAR thing, where it's a point in 3D and it creates topography from it. So this at 0, 0, I can click this here. I can create another one at 100 here. Another one at 200 over here. Another one at minus 200 over here. For example, right? This is something you can potentially import from Digimaps. So if I go on 3D view, this is just a crease in the topography, right? So it's not, you can see here, right? Start because I've set it to very low numbers, but you can see how it's changing in height. And this is where the topography was modeled in the previous sample file, if you remember, right? It had a, yeah. So massing here, and then topography, topo surface. Yeah. So it gives you the option here to split, if you want to split. Yeah, split the surface. Gives you the option to create subregion. It has a very useful animations for you to see what it's doing. Or a building pad. building pad is useful because it's kind of the excavated area for our building, right? So if we go on level 0, building pads, I can just draw around like this, and then click on the tick. And if I go on section, you can see now I have a floor in my section, right? Yeah. So you can see how the drawing is coming together. It's quite interesting because you don't have to detail all these little bits. It does it automatically for you. But you need to make sure it models everything correctly, otherwise it'll look completely wrong. So yeah, for foundations, what you do is you create additional layer, additional level minus. Yeah, you can extend the walls all the way down and then add foundations at the bottom. Right. So I'm going to do this quickly. So I'm going to create a new surface actually. Architecture level. Like this. Base constraint, I'm just going to do 1. Sorry, not 1. I'm going to call this level -1. Yes. Select these walls and constrain them to the -1 level here, like this. Then if I go on structure, I'm just showing you this quickly because I'm running out of time in terms of the rest of it. If you go on foundations, click on this, and it gives me the different types of foundations over here, right? So if you go on structure, you can do a pad foundation, slab foundation, or this kind of foundation. So there's also options to do pile foundations, but you can find that online. There's so many tutorials online to follow for this. So okay. So let's see now. So doors. So let's go on level 0. We're gonna have doors. It's very simple. Architecture, doors. You have some doors you can choose from. If you can't find the door that you want, you go on load family. Load family. Go to. These are the sets. These are the standard Revit libraries that you can open. You go on Revit 2021. Go on libraries. Don't go on English. Go on UK. Yeah. And you can see these are all different types of families. These are not loaded yet in your project. You have to load them to use them, right? So we can go here, doors, external doors, gives you a preview, right? Let's say I want whichever door really. Let's say I want this door. Open, and now you should see here it's loaded. Yeah. Now when I do this drop-down menu, it gives me the doors. Yeah. So now I can place it wherever I want. So you're going to place it here. Same thing. If I click on the door, I can change this dimension from here. This is if I want to be accurate, right? If I go here, here, I can change this to whichever 600. If it's not opening the right way, I can click on this and I'll switch it. Yeah. And this family already comes preloaded with some stuff like the insulation stoppers, etc. So you see how very quickly you can really make these drawings come together, right? Without spending so much time detailing. If you find the right family, you can do that. So these are families that are modeled. So you can also model your own door, right? If you have time at the end, I'll show you how to do it quickly. But typically, you load a family from Revit. If you can't find it, you go online and you search for additional families. So sliding door, for example, you might not find one in Revit, so you go online and search for it. If I go on 3D, I can try finding my door. It's over here. Windows, really same thing. These are some of the existing windows you have. You can just place them wherever you want. Change where they are. See, it recognizes this is your external. So it's putting the door in here. You can switch it in for whatever reason, but that's not going to work. So let's do that. Yeah. If you click here, because this is already modeled as a parameter within the family, you'll get certain things you can control. Yeah. So if I go on 3D here, I can control the sill height. So the sill height is this is from my level 0 to the sill, right? So 900, I can do it 750. Apply. Let's control. This is an instance. Yeah. So if I go here again, a shortcut, by the way, in Revit you can use is CS. Create similar CS. I'm going to create another door. Go on 3D. Yeah. So you see how I've changed this to 750 because this window here controls the parameters of my instance. Yeah. So the instance is the most lower level. Yeah. So it's an item level. Yeah. If I go and edit type, I change the type level. So here, if I change the width 1/800, you're not going to see much of a difference. Okay. I'm going to do 1/500. Apply. Okay. It's gonna change both. Yeah. You can see they're both the same width. So this controls at a type level. If I change anything here, it changes for all the same objects. And this is a different parameter. This is my instance parameter. So if I go here, I can change it back to how it was, 900. It'll only change this. Yeah. So there's type parameters and there's instance parameters. Yeah. So doors and windows. Level 0. Let's create some internal walls. So again, wall architecture. Drop down menu. Wall exterior. No. Wall interior. Yeah, so this is block work, 12 plaster, 100 block, 12 plaster. Yeah. So you can make up your own. Whichever. Yeah. Go on door. And then I can change this. I have some interior doors already set up here, so I'm just going to do this like this for now. Cool. Straightforward, no? Right. What shall we do now? So let's do some stairs because we have 2 levels, right? So architecture, always start from the architecture tab because most of the things you want are from there. Click on stairs. There's different way to do stairs, so you can do it with the run. So here, make sure you set these up first on the left. So base level 0, base offset 0, because we want to start from the surface of level 0, right? Top offset, top level 1. That sounds right. I can change the amount of risers here. So if I want 19, I can change them here. If I'm going too steep, let's say 16, it's giving me a warning. It's telling me that they're going to be too steep. Right? And this is something embedded in the family. So if you go and edit type, you'll find a lot of stuff you can change here. I don't know exactly where it is, but somewhere here. Right? So yeah, I can do 19. And then depending on where I want to draw it, right? So I can draw as a straight line. It's telling me here it's already calculated the distance, right? And if you zoom in, it tells you you need 18, 1 remaining. Yeah, so it's telling you how much. So I can actually do it this way by just doing up to here. And then we can do another one like this. And then it creates a landing. Yeah, so I'll do that again. So if I go and run, I can do the whole stairs at once, like this. right? Or I can do it to, let's say I want to do a dogleg stair like this. Nice. You can see it's taking a lot more space, right? Because the landing. And then I can move this wherever, right? So I'm going to move it to here for now. So this is one of the, yeah, and then I click on the tick box, and you can see it's already drawn it, right? And again, there's different families for stairs as well, so you can also change it. So it's a different makeup. Can't make stairs. Don't know why, but anyway, you can change the families here as well. Right? So interestingly here, if I move this wall, the stairs is not connected, right? So this is one of the instances where you want to use the align tool. So AL, move this so I can see it properly. So select, move. So this is a railing. I know it's a railing because I've done it. I can just do this, right? So I deleted the railing on this side. I can do AL, align. I'm picking this surface and I'm moving it there, and I can lock it. Yeah. And now if I move this wall, it's locked. So let's change this around a bit. So it vaguely makes some sense. I'm just going to do this. I can also lock it to more than one thing, so I can lock it to the bottom as well. But whatever. I'm just going to do this for now. Yeah. So if I go on section, I can't see it because my section doesn't go through there. So I can create a new section, or I can move this here. You can see it's created it in 3D. Yeah. So if you go in 3D, we can enable the section box again. Here. And then I can do this and see what's going on. So at the moment, the floor is obviously causing us some issues, right? So we click on the floor, edit boundary. We want to go to a level where we can actually see it. So over here, what we're going to do is, again, it's giving me the option to lock. So I always want to lock this line to the ending of my stairs, right? Because I don't want the stairs to float around separately. So I'll lock this, and then I can create a gap whichever way I want. So I'm just going to do it vaguely, I guess so. TR to trim, unjoin elements, that's fine. CS to create a similar element. So CS create similar, CS. Let me do it. I'll just draw a boundary line like this here. Yeah, that's what we're doing now. We're creating the hole. Yeah. Do you want me to show you again? Okay, so this is what you should have. You should have just the railings going up. Yeah. So if I go on section, if I go on 3D again, this is what you have. Yeah. Same. Yeah. So I need to edit the floor because it doesn't know what kind of hole I want in the floor. So if I go level 1, this is one of the. Yeah. If I click tab enough times, it'll enable me to select, edit boundary, and then I can draw in the voids here. So I lock this to the top of the stairs because every time I want to move the stairs, I want it to change the. All right. And then I'll just draw whatever hole I can even do this if I want. To trim, it's fine. We can draw another one here. This. And then tick. Would you like the walls that go up to the floor's level to attach to its bottom? Yes. No. And then if I go back on my 3D, I can see the same thing applied, right? Here, I can see that's the gap I created, and you see it works well for my detail. Just gonna move this here just because it makes more sense like this for now. Yep. So sometimes I give you an error because look what I've done right here. So in this case, TR, I just want to link these two, and I'll get rid of that nasty bit there. There, attach, yes. Any questions? All clear? Good. Any questions online? Yeah, the workshop is recorded, so we'll upload it to the YouTube channel at some point. Okay, cool. So yeah, here. So again, so you can do the same thing. Go on level 1. Sorry, I don't want to save it. And add in windows, whichever way, and add in walls, right? Here. And add in doors. As long as everything's clean, everything's linked up, everything's locked to what it needs to be locked to, you should have a good model. And then if you need to change one of these walls by 500 mil, everything works out with no issues. But again, it's not a design tool, so you can't change it a lot. Everything's it's flexible, but not flexible to the level where you design in Revit. Cool. Just want to show you one more thing, which is curtain walls. Yeah, so you'll use a lot in Revit. So if I go level 0, let's say I want all this space to be glazed. So what I can do is go on wall. Underneath here, I can click on a curtain wall. Click on a curtain wall. Then I can draw a wall here. There's 2 ways of doing this. I can embed, so I can draw a wall, and if my memory serves me correctly, vertical bounding connected. No. Is the knowledge created? Offsets. So do that again. This tree. Sorry? It overlaps, yeah. Because there's a setting, I can't remember exactly where, but we'll ignore that for now, right? So what we'll do, we'll just do a wall going right the way to the top. So let me just check which facade we should do it in. Let's do it over here. I'm going to get rid of these over here. Go on level 0. If I click on the wall, the Modify tab gives me some tools I can use to change things around. So one useful tool is, where is it? It's Split. Not join, not cut, not much. Split face. No, it's not split face. All joins. Join. Demolish. All right, so it's another, I don't know exactly where it is or the shortcut, but we find it somewhere else. But what we can do is we can create two walls, right? So here, we'll unjoin elements. We'll create one wall here, and then we can copy this wall to this end here. And now we'll create a curtain wall in the middle. So if we go on wall, curtain wall, I can create a wall here. Yeah. So there is there is an option to embed a curtain wall within a wall, but I can't remember it now. So, but you can find it later if you just Google, simply just Google it, right? So I'm just gonna do this, this, and this. Yeah, and if you go on 3D, curtain wall acts like a wall. You see this? I remember what we did earlier, attach bottom to do the same here, right? I'll attach this one as well, because for some reason it's not. Yeah. So you can see this is how you do your glazing. Yeah. You won't model it as a window. You'll just model it as a curtain wall. What's interesting about this curtain wall is that you can control the details here. So if I click on the wall, go in architecture, I can add mullions. So at certain points here, or I can do all grids here. And it gives it the mullions. If I can move these. So let me. So if I click on this, architecture, curtain grids, I can add elements here like this. I can also make these into mullions. So architecture, mullions. This. Yeah. Also, if I tab again, I can select certain faces and I can change those to even a part of a wall here. Nice. So this is when you'd use any curtain walls is very useful because it allows you to control some of these things a lot more. And you know, I can even embed the door in here. So here, I have to hover over the right spots. You'll get used to it, but okay, there's no loaded curtain wall door, but I'll do the same. I'll go into the Revit families, load it, and then put it in. Cool. So last thing I want to talk about is groups. Okay. So let's say some of you have components like this. Some of you have components like this. If I go on 3D, I'm going to change this wall type to something basic for now. Yeah. Unconnected, maybe to 500. No, let's do 3,000. Like this. Apply. I can model this in the same way. So create everything I need inside this. Put all my furniture. Put all my toilets and walls, etc. And then I can go here and group them. Right. So architecture. Nothing view manage. No add-ins. Create group. Right. And I can, this is group one, and now I have this as a group. I can copy over here. I can paste to different levels. So I can paste it to level 1 and 2, okay. And then I can work with my modules this way. And the interesting thing is if I double click, I can modify groups, change them, right? So here, finish, and everything else changes. So it's a very useful habit to get into rather than modeling a lot of the same stuff separately. Put them into groups because it enables you to fix just one and everything else updates. I think that's the end of the tutorial. We have another workshop in a bit, so I think it'll be good to take a break because otherwise I'm getting thirsty. Cool. Do you have any questions at all? No? So you will export. Yeah. So if you want to export, you go File, Export, your different formats. Yeah. If you want model, Revit has. I haven't used it for like 7 years. I don't know if it's still there actually. Does it still have the cloud-based renderer?
It does.
Yeah. Yeah. Cloud.
I'll say nowadays you got stuff like
Enscape, Twinmotion, Lumion. You can see this is a plugin for Lumion, where it's real time. You change something here, updates in Lumion. Lumion is a real time visualization. So look at these three. And the internet is full of tutorials. Any questions online? I just want to give people here a break and you a break as well. Any questions at all? No? Perfect. Cool. So yeah, good luck. I'm going to stop recording now, okay?